Good morning. Seems silly to say good morning. I've been here. Anyway, but I wrote it down, so I said it. Thanks for coming. I'm glad you're here. You know what? I'm going to just get right to it. You matter. You are an important, valuable person. And the world is a better place because you are in it. If you are struggling, there are people ready and able to help you. You are not alone. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be safe. I care about you. Amen. Blessed be. May it be so. See you next week. Thank you very much. Well, that's the gist of it. There's more, of course. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I wanted to be here to remind you that in America, 58 million people are known to have mental illness. That's 23%, or almost 1 in 4 people. If this congregation, this assembled group right here, this assembly of thoughtful and progressive people is representative of America, I wish. That would be about 20, 25 people in this room. Less than half of these 23% receive treatment for the illness. And that's what I wanted to talk about today, treatment options and treatment availability. And most importantly, I want to encourage you to allow yourself to accept help when you need it. And for times when you don't need it, I'd encourage you to be helpful to those who do. And I'm aware that mental health treatment still has a stigma. Certainly in the North Country it does, and maybe even here in the UU Church. But in reality, mental health treatment is not so different from what we do as Unitarian Universalists. A while ago, I had the privilege of watching an episode of Fusion, which, if you don't know, is a TV show that was written and produced by our own Dave Weisbard during his time in Rockford. We've uploaded an episode to YouTube, and I hope to be able to upload more in the future. But as I was watching this one episode called Vive la Différence, in which Dave says that UUs cultivate a religious community where one is met not with certainty, but with safety. We make a safe place to explore and to seek. And he said that Fusion was a show that's not meant to persuade, but to help explore and push the boundaries of your own beliefs. That's what Unitarian Universalism is all about. And it's also the heart of psychotherapy. Effective therapy is not the therapist with the answers, it's the client seeking, searching, exploring the boundaries of their own self-perception. I had a client once who expressed a negative view of his time with me, and he was a little angry. And in explaining his dissatisfaction, he said, "You never once told me what the answer is and how I should change or what I should do. You never told me what to do." I said, "You're welcome." You never told me what to do. Yes, I didn't. Psychotherapy is person-centered, not prescriptive. Psychotherapy is coming with you on your journey to help make sense of your beliefs and your feelings and your thoughts. But as a cognitive therapist, especially your thoughts. Because we know of mental health conditions that they do a very insidious thing. Depression, clinical anxiety, OCD, PTSD, trauma, these things take over your brain and they make you feel certain things. But we also know that they can make you think certain things as well. These conditions can scramble your thoughts and distort your perceptions like a funhouse mirror that is rippled and gives a distorted reflection. Elias listened to a draft of this and he said, "I don't think the funhouse mirror is quite the universal reference that you think it is." I said, "Yes, it is. Everybody knows what a funhouse mirror is." He said, "No, they don't." I said, "So yes, they do." He said, "Young people don't." So for you younger peeps, funhouse mirror, no, never mind. It's not worth it. Well, mental health conditions can impact your thinking. They can warp your perceptions of yourself and your surroundings. They distort the world you see yourself in, as well as how you see yourself, like a funhouse mirror. Now, I'm not talking here about normal blind spots, right? Casual or harmless denial. We all have those. We all have blind spots in our perceptions. I used to work with Dan Janak. Do you know Dan? Does anyone know? Judy knows Dan. Yeah, did you know Dan? Yeah. So Dan Janak actually went to Duke University. Paul went to Duke. Dan went to Duke. He was PA that I worked with at the county. Dan Janak is an angel on earth. He is a really good guy. I used to go in to work early so that we could chat before the day got started. And when I was about 40 years old or so, we were chatting and I'm scratching on my shoulder right here. And he says, what's happening? And I said, I don't know. I got a thing. He said, what thing? And I said, it's a thing, you know, Dan, like a thing on my skin. What is it? He said. I said, Dan, it's a thing. I told you. He said, let me see the thing. And I said, you're not a sight guy. You're a sight guy. You're not a thing doctor. He said, just let me look at it. So I showed him and he said, that's a thing, but it's not a thing to worry about. I said, I'm pretty sure it is, Dan. It's a bad thing and I'm pretty sure I'm dying. He said, no, you're fine. I said, I'm not fine. I said, I'm dying, Dan. He said, we're all dying, but you're not dying from that thing. He said, it's a skin tag. It's a dermatology thing, blah, 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 whatever. Typical onset is middle-aged. 80% of people are going to get them. I said, whoa. Middle age? Dan, why do I have one? He said, David, what year were you born? But in my mirror, see, I don't see what you see. I still think people in stores call me kid. Like at Coakley's, I go to Coakley's for help or advice or reassurance once in a while when I'm doing something in my house. And I'll say, so I need one of these. And they'll say, no, kid, you'll need two of them. In my mind, they add kids. Things like this, we all have things like this. And I thought it was one thing, you thought it was another, small misinterpretations of the situation. But mental health concerns can click this tendency up a notch or two. People coping with anxiety or depression or trauma can misinterpret the situation disastrously. And that's what's insidious about it. It isn't minor things like, I'm actually older than I feel. It's things like, the world would be better off without me. No, it won't. You matter. You are important. And I'm a better person for knowing you. Illness will make people believe and say, no one can help me. This is too hard. No one can possibly understand. I'm alone in this. No, you're not alone in this. There are people ready and able to help. And this is why I wanted to encourage you 23% to use the help around you, to check in with someone, to see if your view of the world might be distorted, if your struggle is gaslighting you, or if your sights are straight. Because the truth is, you matter. You are important and you are valuable. The illness is telling you these things, but those are lies. Your illness is lying to you. And this is what therapy does. It helps you find the truth. It flattens the funhouse mirror for an accurate view. It takes a different view of things, a more authentic view. Like our, there he is, like our little friend from the Time for All Ages. Looking at things differently can make all the difference. And this is what the therapists at United Helpers and other places do. They help you check in. They can be another set of eyes on your reality, and they can help untangle the thinking that perpetuates the perceptions that life is meaningless, that there's no hope. This is what we do. And the folks at United Helpers are especially good And I'm truly honored to work with these people. And I'm very grateful for the SASO this morning because it takes skill to be able to reflect an accurate picture and to help people move forward in treatment and in their lives. I'm looking out this morning and I'm seeing people who are very skilled in doing exactly this. Judy is a social worker, of course. Leo Berger was here. Leo is he's a tremendously effective clinician. Sarah Hutchison, who's down in RE right now, is gifted with people in need. Sarah, by the way, so Sarah retired as a clinical social worker, and she still works at Reach Out, saving lives. Reach Out saves lives. And if you don't know what Reach Out is or what they do, talk to Sarah about it. Reach Out is a 24-hour crisis phone line based locally in Potsdam where people can call in crisis. If it's late at night and you aren't sure that you're going to make it until morning, please call Reach Out. 315-265-2422. Reach Out saves lives. But it isn't surprising that there are so many mental health professionals here. As Dave Weisbart said, the framework, UUism and therapy, is so similar. Therapists don't give advice. We don't tell you what to do. That's not appropriate for therapy. It is, though, an appropriate thing to do in a sermon. Even a UU sermon. So let me leave you with some of the best life advice I ever received. You don't have to take it, but it's advice that I received at the right time in my life, and I want to share it with you. So we used to live, Rebecca and I used to live in Washington, D.C., Tacoma Park, actually. And our neighbors there were a married couple in their late 90s, and they were still very active and still very engaged with life. And one evening, he called us up on the phone and he said, "David, I want you to come over for a plate of iced cream after supper. No need to dress, just come as you are, 20 minutes. We'd been summoned to the firm. And so we quick dressed up a little bit, Sunday casual, and rang the bell. The iced cream was delicious and the company was extraordinary, and it was a fine time. And after dessert, I was led to the finished basement and he showed me around, and then he handed me a photograph. It was a panoramic shot of 500 grim-faced adolescents. This was his army battalion or group, or I don't know how many 500 would be. Is that a battalion? I don't know. It was a graduation or something from like 1924. You know, the time when everyone sat still for pictures and tried to make their faces all horizontal. He said, "See if you can find me." I thought, oh man, you're not here. Talk about faulty perceptions, right? Like people call me kid, he's in his 90s. Anyway, I looked at each face coming down the line looked more alike than the last one. They were all blending together in sort of like an Edward Gorey, like black and white pantheon of spooky children. And he said, "Go ahead," he said, "it's easy." This picture was taken 80 years ago. I said, "I don't know, man. I don't know. Him? He's Italian." Yeah, that's how old he was. Anyway, he reached over my shoulder and he put his finger under the face of a tall kid in the back. And I leaned forward to strain to look, and everyone else in the picture looked like Peter Lorre. This kid was Lawrence of Arabia. He had the hair, but what was really different was this. Out of all those kids, his head was cocked back in laughter. This somber gallery of 500 morose, groomy lads, there's one guy, huge grin, all teeth, so alive in this picture, I could almost hear the laugh. He had a smile a mile wide, this guy. And as I'm looking at the picture, I'm processing this in my brain. He leans in and I can hear his voice right here in my ear. I can still hear his voice in my ear right here some days. And he said, "How do you like that? The only one laughing is the only one still alive." I'm going to get right to it. You matter. You are an important, valuable person. The world is a better place because you are in it. If you are struggling, there are people ready and able to help you. You are not alone. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be safe. You deserve to laugh. I care about you. Amen. Blessed be. May it be so. See you next week.